So it can be a revealed word or a series of words which help a person to concentrate on this highest reality. See, human beings need a symbol. So they have different types of symbols evolved through various experiences of human beings through millenniums. So Indians have given freedom in that kind of concept. So you will find so many names and forms of, they are all symbols only. Say in Christianity they have one symbol only. In Islam also they had plenty, but they reduced and made it one. So like this it goes on. So when these symbols, through a symbol and a mantra, it becomes easier for a person to concentrate the mind on the ultimate reality. It's a very power-loaded world, because one person who was of a very highly evolved spiritual individual, this mantra was revealed, or he had practiced it himself, this mantra, and then he gives it to his disciple, and he practices in his life, and then he has some experiences. So then it passes on to another disciple. So imagine this world becomes loaded, filled with power of the experience of a generation of teachers. And that's why in spiritual, this transmission of power, this tradition is very important. Outside tradition, I do not know, but it's very important, because this kind of power seems to flow from the experience of people. That's what a mantra is. And this mantra shouldn't be just given like that. I am not against, I'm most willing to accept that it must be given also, but it must be given to someone who is someone who is worthy of taking it and using it. Simply you throw it like that anywhere. Jesus said, don't throw pearl before swine. So this mantra should not be so vulgarly thrown about or kept in the market for sale. That shouldn't be done. It should be given, because its value is not material, its value is spiritual. So wherever one deserves, it should be given. So this mantra is a power-loaded word of the experience of a large number of teachers. And in the act of initiation, the teacher gives not only the word. These days you can get the words in the books anywhere. So he gives not only the word, he transfers a power, as it were, to the disciple. So one has to be careful, judge properly, and give these things. That's it.
And just to finalize, Swamiji, what advice can you give to the seekers of truth or after truth?
So, perhaps I mentioned it yesterday in my talk. To be earnest and honest in what they are searching and seeking is very important. And after that, especially in the West, they must there are various institutions in the West which have been taking advantage of the ignorance of people about spiritual search. They are earnest, they want it, but they do not know where to search. So when you do not know where to search, whatever comes your way seems nice. So what I want such earnest good people to do is, you go to a place, don't commit yourself, see how whether it meets your requirement. Stay for a while. If it meets your requirement, perfectly all right. And see one or two other places also. Just like, if you want to buy something, you go to several shops before you buy it. So, in relation to spiritual life also, we shouldn't be in a hurry. Being earnest is one thing. To be a fool is another thing. Simply we can't accept anything that comes our way. One shouldn't. People have told me. I was going there for a while, they come back and say, Swami, I made a mistake. Why? It's because you didn't shop around properly. For your camera and television you shop around, but when it comes to spiritual life, so naive. So one must be very careful. Go, study books, understand them. If a teacher is available, see him, meet him, discuss with him. Let the mind be open. And after a while, see what really meets your requirement. So whichever meets your requirement, accept it. First, you test everything, and then only you accept. Now Sri Ramakrishna always used to say, you see your Guru during the day, see your Guru during the night, observe him carefully, and then only accept him, not before. That's my advice to people.
Thank you very much, Swami. And just to end up now, a few words about Ramakrishna, Vivekananda, and what the Ramakrishna mission is.
See, being a humble devotee of Sri Ramakrishna, it's very difficult for me to talk objectively about him. He is one with whom I have fallen in love. And you see him differently than a critic would see. So if I say anything, it may be one-sided. However, he was a man of great spiritual experience. I don't try to compare and contrast others, but he is the one, as I said, I have fallen in love. For me, he is the greatest. And God's power really manifested through him. Really, he himself used to say, don't say these things, about people, and they would say, why do you tell like this? He would say, I don't know. God shows me these things, so I say this. So he was one who really talked to God, who referred to God, everything personal, day-to-day things. When somebody told him, will you do this for me, will you come? I'll go and ask my mother. So mother was a living presence, not simply an image there. He will reply. So he was one who lived constantly in company with God, as it were. Constantly. He would say himself, oh, there are two people here. One is the devotee, other is the God. And then when his picture was taken, not this one, another one, sitting, which you saw in the retreat, he said, he put the picture on his head and said, this picture will be worshipped in every house. And brought me some flowers. He put the picture, he put the flowers on it, and he himself prostrated before it. Some, Narendra, Vivekananda was not one of those who accepted such silly things. He said, look here, enough your madness, your own picture you want to worship. He said, I don't know anything. This is what my mother says. You will see it. This is what my mother says.
Mother Kali.
Mother Kali. That's God for him. So, and see what has happened. When I wander around and I see a picture there, my God, where is it? Here, where is Spain? Where is... And he didn't come, neither any of his disciples came here. Somehow somebody goes and picks it up. So Sri Ramakrishna was that kind of teacher who simply worked at the highest level. He didn't want anything, and he also, in his life, renunciation, didn't. That was the greatest quality. Renunciation in the sense, whatever belongs to this world is wealth, isn't it? So, I don't want this, I want God. So he didn't care for anything.
And Vivekananda?
Vivekananda is, in a way, all the power that was in him came into him, Swami Vivekananda. And he was himself a very brilliant, intellectual, modern educated man. But this spiritual experience had to be interpreted in the modern light. In the old light, people will not accept it. And Swami Vivekananda did it. Did it in a most effective way. So much so, even in the West, some of the scientists have been thinking about these things today. If you see his lectures on Jnana Yoga, on matter and scientific approach, he has given such expressions, but it's all his power. So Swami Vivekananda, in a way, interpreted the power and the purpose of Ramakrishna's life to the modern age. That's what he did. And the more I see this, the more it's expressing itself in its own way. Whether Ramakrishna or no Ramakrishna name, it doesn't matter. Vivekananda or no Vivekananda. I see people picking up these thoughts and trying to play with them. So that's what Vivekananda did.
And so now the Ramakrishna order tries to
do his best, its best, to present these thoughts in this light to the people. And as I said, it's just awakening of people to this spiritual dimension, which is very important for the further evolution of human beings. That is the purpose. Not religion. Religion is Hinduism, Christianity, Islam, and all this is Hinduism. This is religion. But to make even an atheist to think of the problems, that's the purpose of the Ramakrishna order. That's what we are trying to do in our own humble way. It's not that everybody can do it, and always they can do it. Because, still we are already 2 generations away from Sri Ramakrishna. And we are trying to live and cherish that inspiration and bring about the transform in our own lives. That is what we are trying to do first. To bring this transformation into my life, so that in the glory of that transformation, the power of Sri Ramakrishna may awaken, or the power that manifested in Sri Ramakrishna may awaken others also to this awareness. That's what the purpose of Sri Ramakrishna. The Ramakrishna mission is in the West especially. Of course, in the East, in India, we try to serve people by education, medical aid, also reliefs, help to the poor, widows' homes, all sorts of. That's just giving a little medicine. When somebody is hurt, you put a little medicine. That's all. That's nothing much. But to awaken people to this highest evolutionary stage, that is the purpose.
Thank you, Swami. Thank you very much.
I hope it.
Yeah, very much appreciate what you have said to me.
Now we tell them we deserve a little meal.
Now let's come to the practical things. Because what happened? These people, it seems to be that Muktananda initiated 2 people, 2 John Swamis, and one of them is out now, and the other one, at first they said, okay, you are going to be the continuous, the successors and this and that, but now everything seems to be going wrong. Yeah, but I don't believe in that. I don't believe in those things.
People have seen Guru Mayu, the leader now of this group. They have told that they are very nice and not very powerful.
But you see, I have seen on the television, England. They were interviewing him. In those days he was learning with a Rolls-Royce car. He will go to learn piloting the aeroplane. He's in VIIGO. Somebody asked him, the television interview man asked, how can you do this? Where do you get money for all this? He said, there are enough fools to pay for it. So you can imagine.
With such an answer. He gave such an answer?
Yes, yes. It was on the television, I have seen it.
You're talking about the Guru Maharaj or you're talking about his...
Guru Maharaj.
Guru Maharaj.
And then this Guru came, this VIIGO of the Muktananda book. I don't appreciate it this way. I have nothing to say against them.
I know.
That's not my cup of tea. You are not going. I got a letter of invitation. Are you coming? He is giving a party or he will be doing.
Who is that?
Swami Muktananda. He is giving a party in some place or darshan and prasad. So they sent me a letter of invitation to go and spend the day in the blessed company. So what shall I say? I will get up for it. So one of our people was very angry. He wanted to write a letter to them. That's not the way you must go. To whom you are writing, who he is, and you write a letter like that. Let them have their way. I don't want to pretend to be a guru. I am what I am. I will do my best. When I've seen all these movements, so many, so they send invitations. I don't say anything, I keep quiet. Whatever they like, and if people are fond of that, let them go. Another one group is there. Their guru came. Long back. And when I went there, on a platform, they put a special podium for him, and on the top of it, 6 feet high, a chair for him to sit.
What's that?
I forget the names. So many people come these days, you see. Somebody who is known to me pressed me to go. I said, all right. And personal invitation came. It's good to go. You shouldn't have any pride on these things. Oh, he is sitting like that. And of course all others whom they had invited were gentlemen belonging to Hindu society or some Christian society, like that. Afterwards, so his chair was like that, and for me a chair was given there below.
Be careful, yeah.
I didn't mind. I went and sat like everybody else. That sadhu got up and came down, called the organizers, scolded them right and left. You have invited a monk, not a householder, and you have kept his chair at my feet. I will not sit there. Put my chair here. And he scolded them. So sometimes, you're insulted also by the people, but you don't mind. They say, what does it matter?
And he came down just?
Yes, he came down. So they had to remove that big platform and put another, the same chair,
Down there.
better organized, but it doesn't matter. He said, how you don't allow another sadhu to sit at your feet? Couldn't do that. He belongs to the Ramakrishna Sampradaya. And it is our respected Sampradaya, and you do that for him. He scolded them actually. So, all sorts of things happen in a sadhu's life. In 1943, I met Swami Shivananda. I went there. So, as soon as he heard that I am a Swami from the Ramakrishna Mission, he said, you will have food and go every day. People do not come like you. Stay. In somewhere, anyway, we had to eat. I had gone by train to Rishikesh from Haridwar. So then, when the time for food came, he sat with everybody. He said, we are all young monks. So he was very nice. He came and he asked, where do you come from? I told him, I come from Bangalore. And he said, do you understand Tamil? I said, no, I don't understand. And I understand Anvalalwe. I can understand, but I cannot talk, because the next province is. Then he himself went into the kitchen, somewhere a store, brought some extra ghee, he put it, and then brought some pickles, and brought some curds, and said, South Indians want all these things. You, he told them. That's all what I remember. And I don't remember what I spoke to him in those days. Because Swami Chidananji I have met. He came to, I was in Shillong, Assam side, but he came to our place. He gave them some fruits, flowers, so. And then he came here 2 years back to our place. Very nice. And then one boy went to that place, English boy, and to Rishikesh and stayed for a few days there. And he told him about the Ramakrishna Centro here, and my name and what is happening here and all that. So Krishnanandi wrote me a letter and sent a book. So then I wrote him a letter. I have not gone there. I feel I must go and see that place again after all these years. Things must have changed very much.
Maybe you meet many people.
Yes, God whomsoever. God brings. He brings us all. I don't on my own, as I said.
You met Swami Satyananda from
Yes, I met him.
Virginia?
Yes. I've seen him once or twice here and there. But last time there was a meeting in London and they asked me to preside. I said, look here, he is so well-known man, they don't require a president. No, he himself suggested. It's nice to have a president. The problem was where to get somebody who can preside over him, over his meeting, his lecture. So anyway, they approached me and went to that meeting. Very fine man, nice, I like him. The way he has been doing his own things. Each one has their own ways.
Yeah.
So he was very nice. We talked for a long. We sat together and ate. We talked for a long time. Then he told me, invited me to go to New York. He must come to our place. And also I met, who is that? Chinmayananda. Does he come to Spain?
I think he was in Barcelona. He was in Barcelona just. Chinmayananda?
Chinmayananda.
I'm not sure if he was the one who was in
He
Barcelona.
was also a disciple of Swami Shivananda. Though no, he doesn't, he is the big guru himself.
He is?
That,
He believes to be so?
that's
I think that's the problem, Swami. Don't you think so that many, let's say, so-called gurus, or whatever you want to call them,
ego.
Inflation of the ego.
That's the whole trouble. That is the whole trouble.
And I don't know, but probably in the West, although many people look for a guru, but however, when you watch, most of the people who are playing that role, you just come to reject, that type of relationship, for saying so, because when you approach a person, you approach the person with humility, trying to learn, trying to ask. If I approach my father with fear, in a way of being my father like that, so I say, okay, you stay there, I go somewhere else. Okay? And when you approach somebody, when you're anxious to know or whatever, but you see that those people...
That's a difficult thing. Swami Vivekananda used to say, ego is an ordinary person in the society. He is bad. But the ego of a sadhu, a monk, is the worst. In work, when you have an ashrama, 10 people, sometimes you have to say things which people don't like. I tell them, look here, it's a disgrace for me, I must tell, so I am telling, but it's a disgrace for me, you put me into this position. What else to say? They are doing wrong and you have got to point out. But as a monk, it's not nice that you're always going on pointing the finger, this, that, every day. It looks very bad. Very difficult, sadhu's life.
This Swami Rama lives in Connecticut, or somewhere around. Swami Rama, what's his name of his community, Russia? You know the one I'm talking about?
Yes, I know. Somebody showed me in the paper one day. It's advertisement, full page advertisement.
Yeah.
So many things he does and all that.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's an American.
He's an American. Himalayan Institute, I think.
They have all sorts of places. And people are searching for something and they all go there, here, everywhere.
Yeah, they go everywhere. And Baba Haridas?
That's also another thing like that, it looks to me. I also have seen advertisements of
this. Baba Haridas doesn't speak, he says he keeps silence for so many years. I don't know.
I have no idea of these things. I don't get involved.
I don't pay too much attention.
No time, you see, when I'm there, people come and going, and then routine life. I have not yet realized what else I'm going to do. I have got to struggle myself.
Anyway, it's a difficult life.
No, life itself is difficult. Swami Vivekananda again defines. When he asked what is life, the expression of the spirit in us under circumstances which tend to press it down. All the circumstances.
It's up to you, I don't mind.
So Vyasa, later on, I think the composition is Vyasa. In the book itself, which is mentioned in the Gita, Vyasena Grasitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam. In the midst of Mahabharata, this Gita has been composed by Vyasa.
reading the essential teachings of the Upanishads. What is contained in the Gita is the essential teachings of the Upanishads.
In the lessons in the Upanishads, because the Gita speaks not Krishna's system.
In the Upanishads, there is one Krishna. And historically, we are not to be together, but that person is Krishna. So, that Krishna is different, belongs to different fields. And Krishna, who belongs to the field of Vyasa, he composed Mahabharata. In the middle of Mahabharata, and some scholars are of opinion, and the Gita was an interpolation based on the Mahabharata. Whatever it is, the teaching is marvelous, and in the introductory portion of the Gita it very clearly says that whatever is contained in the Upanishad, the Gita, is the essential. Sarvopaniषado bhavo Gopha Gopalavanandana. The Upanishads are like the cow, and the man who milks this cow, Gopalavanandana. Partha, Arjuna is only like a cow. So the real Gopha, this is to be enjoyed by the wise people. Dukram Gita, the nectar, Amrita, Gita.
Krishna looks actual. Krishna is pure.
Oh yes, I know that. Even now, in the place, Krishna lives in Mathura, in that area, where even now, an old temple was, even a successful, people get suddenly a heavy rainfall. But the fort was there, the palace was there, it was destroyed. And suddenly somebody gets a successful. Immediately after the rainfall, heavy rainfall, people go there to search for this.
And they find it.
Find it. I was there for 2 years.
I heard from the so-called miracles made by Krishna in the Centro.
Seriously, sorry. After 5,000 years, everything is so life is up to go. So that is it. That is the story of it. At 5,000 years, it's too long in life. But we still don't get so many stories to go. You get doubt, there's a religious economy. People in tragedy. Yes. And the devotees want to see supernatural. I've never seen that.
But you're seeing about clairvoyance, cardiac,
the powers that possible. If you have what news, I remember the same old ask whether I become a clairvoyant or a clairvoyant. There are many people who have some power. Everybody develops some kind of power. I can, how they say today, in the evening they are coming here. You may not come. The possibility is there of this. So they calculate everything, and in the evening, we have prayer, we have gone out from there, and we are going to smoke here anyway. But I can possibly say that. And people who admire me will say, the first one you are coming and you killed her. And then it becomes a story. And the story goes on. I don't pay much credit to people. and possibility is there. And so I can close my eyes and say, this night we are going to have supper. You have to in silence. Close my eyes. And if I open supper is produced tonight, you know, one can say, it's in my very detail. So some people can develop this into more. Huh? And they'll be able to perceive more. So they can say what's going to happen tomorrow. Somebody else is help.
That is possible to know what's going to happen with it.
Some people have this insight. As I said, in the co-creation, the modern times today, nothing is destroyed anyway. What I read the years back, the people who ruled Spain are still there. If I can run backwards in time at more than the speed of the light and go very fast and go back 500 years, that's still there happening.
Like a star you see and but the star is not there.
Huh?
Like a star you see at night but the star is not there.
There is it. Empty. So there are people who can go fast in their mind. Tomorrow, the next day, and see what's happening. They're coming there. If a little variation, we all see. It's not more or less sexual. No. I don't believe in people. And here tomorrow, I'm supposed to fly. Everything is right. So somebody who doesn't know we can walk in here can see my mind. You can see your body, you can see your mind. No? You must go on. But it is nobody else can tell you to do that. What else do you? I don't do that. I believe with some effort we can be harmony with the princes over the world, because to do that, no one.
The Parishad for the commentary made by Centro
is the record on sometimes teaching of the people in those good old days. The way they experienced the great spirit of God. That is recorded in the culture. That's why Upanishad teachings are not in very precise form. It's in the form of a dialogue, 1 point here, 1 point there, sometimes something that has no. All this is in the Upanishad. That's why the Gita took it up and made it into a good shape. Gita Yava. From the phrase goes to Yava.
But the Parishad have no, let's say, also has experiences, many experiences by many cycles.
So they all look so different. That's why in one Upanishad is in a particular way, another way, slightly different. But at the same time, ultimately the reality is one. But depending upon, this chocolate is one type, it's all chocolate. This chocolate is another type. Somebody likes this, somebody else likes this. That's just because you like it. That little baby, you give him this, and he likes this. The fruity taste he likes. So whether everything is recorded. And that is taken and put in the form of Gita in a practical synthesis. That's the greatness of the Gita. So, Upanishads you study, understand, but Upanishads are through just for scientific, what you call pure science. Pure science, the truth is there, but difficult to know it. And whereas the Gita is applied science, technology. So in the technology, you learn things which are useful. In pure science, may or may not be useful. It doesn't mean anything to me. E is equal to mc squared. Television or radio. In something, E is equal to mc squared is nothing. So for us who belong to a different level or a lower level of understanding of the spiritual life, for us we want applied science. How do I conduct myself? In the Gita, the question is asked. Sthita prajnasya ka bhasha samadhisthasya sesava. This is very simple bhasha. Himasitavu vrajeta in the second chapter. I stopped it there because I can't. If this subject comes up, I will be carried away. Sthita prajnasya ka bhasha. A man who has realized this truth and become a steady wisdom, how does he talk? Samadhisthasya sesava. How does he behave when he is in a state of samadhi? Sithitavi kim prabhasheta. How does he move and act? Kimasita. How does he come and how does he go? Vrajeta. How does he express himself? So that is the question that's asked. So practical. How do I meditate? Close my eyes and meditate? No, but how do I behave? I am not able to behave like a decent good man. How do I think of God? That's far away. Behave a good man. That's where yoga system comes into the picture. Yama and niyama. Self-control. At that very high stage, he is self-controlled already. And he established himself in the highest good. But we want practical. The Gita is a practical from the past. The first chapter, how does a devotee behave himself? Tell me who becomes a dear God, then I try to behave like that. In that behavior, I raise myself to the level of God.
Thank you. How can you recognize the quality of life?
You simply cannot recognize him like that. You must yourself be of some value before you. See, many people went to see Sri Ramakrishna. Some people wanted to sit there and talk to him or see him. See, their friends do not care for it. They will become impatient. So Sri Ramakrishna will say, oh yes, give them some sweets to eat and say, you go and see the garden. It's a beautiful garden here. Go and see, you would say, and send people away. Because they have no interest. They don't want to hear. They don't want to change their life. Only they are interested in eating and going to eat. So, how do they recognize? They can't recognize. To recognize, you must have yourself some quality in you to recognize this statement. Otherwise, you can't recognize. So one has to develop certain quality. One has to develop a mission, a clean mind, a then only he will be able to. Just when you see the glass is dirty, you can't see anything else. If your mind is dirty, you can't see, recognize the taste sound. So to recognize, you see, we went to Raman Maharshi actually. Not that we recognized, we were just in our teen, late teenage. Oh yeah, we enjoyed a kind of serene presence. But even at the age of 17, 18 to do that, must be not sweating that something must have happened to us. Otherwise, where did we go all the way out of... and very few people used to be there, 10, 20 people, not many people in those days. And we are, 2, 3 of us went. One was slightly older than us, 25, and he was already a lecturer in the college. We were all good friends. And so we would get up early morning, and their breakfast is at 9 o'clock or something. So everybody in that must be given something to eat at 9 o'clock. And we were prepared for 2 hours there. And sometimes we will go to the temple in the city, near that city, small town. And we go, and this teacher will sit there for 1 hour. We have not that kind of attitude yet. So we will go to a restaurant nearby and eat. And this is a particular dish. We eaten with lentils, which is very highly spiced. You eat it, it will be smelling for 2 hours more. And we will eat and come. And this fellow, the teacher, when he come out, you ask us, where did he go? We went to wait, and you are smelling. Like that, you know. But in spite of all this, there must have been some good fortune for us, which made us see. Otherwise, we would never see. I was hardly, say, 13, 14 when I read Life of Ramakrishna the first time. I read it as wonderful. It's possible for us to realize God. So I made up my mind since those days to become a monk. Does anybody laugh if I just 10, 12 years by say I want to go and become a monk? So whenever I was in my home, I was in a boarding hospital. When I went home, early morning I get up and go for walking on my own, long distances, big, small and big water reservoirs, you know. So it calm. I go, can I see God here, God there, like that? It is very silly, but I'm not playing with it. When I became a little older, I remember I got Katha Upanishad. And I didn't understand much, but just I used to read it. So when I went, I read and reread and memorized, and they used to do all that. But at home they will make fun of me. So after breakfast, take that book, simply go away. There was a dry river, only in the rainy season there is water. And beautiful shady and summer, beautiful. And I would lie down on the sand, make a sand bank, and put a towel on it, and read this book, memorizing this one. Even now I can repeat all of them. They all give me a different meaning now. So, we need to cleanse our mind and free it from all the dirt of worldliness, selfishness. Then it becomes clean, and through it you will be able to perceive the truth. Not fully, but partially. But that gives you hope. Oh, that let us try this. That's what has kept me going in life.
Sometimes it's very hard, but you don't have any path of experience.
That's true. So don't try too hard, but in a most natural way. Most natural way. You must try to play with it. Too much of tenseness will not be. In the West, this is a problem, They want result. They're prepared to do anything. And they overdo it. because the mind cannot stand it. Because it's not ready yet. So let it happen slowly. Gopal has gone away there.
I don't like anything.
So that is the go slowly. You see, I always tell people, spiritual life is like, say you want from here to go to VIIGO, isn't it? So there may be a motorway, and you have a motor car, you can go fast. And somebody else has only a cycle, you can go. You will reach VIIGO. But good. Somebody else walks. You will reach there, but it takes time, more time. Somebody else may have a heart disease. He also wants to go. So he will walk very slowly, but he will also reach. So we are all people with various ailments. Or even if a man has a motor car, the road may not be good. You are not able to go fast. So slowly, carefully. And then slowly to speed. So each one has to go in his own speed. A man with a heart disease starts running. The fellow will die halfway, he doesn't reach. Same thing, a man who is going on cycle, if he goes on without stopping, either he will die or fall down, you have got to stop, whereas a motor car can go. So each one of us belongs to different ability, and we have to work within that. The biggest problem is the senses. We live at the level of senses. Only with the time.